We'll just wait a few more minutes for everyone to log on and whatnot. And just see your name and get to be like, Kristi, who are
That's
you?
me.
That's you. Who am I? Oh no, we're getting very insightful. We're going to be figuring out life truths.
My massive fan clubs need the time to file in and get their popcorn.
Bring them on, grab their tea. I always get I'm like all these interviews I start out before I wake up. I'm like, got my tea here.
Yep, cheers.
Cheers to you. All right.
That's the good stuff.
Love it. Right when you wake up, you need it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a little introduction for y'all. So my name is Alexis. Oops, I'll go over here now. My name's Alexis with Mastermind Adventures. Mastermind Adventures is a team of creative professionals who are conquering isolation and loneliness by building community through play. I love, love, love that. One of our initiatives is the Game Master for Hire program, and Kristi here is one of our epic Game Masters. These are awesome folks and storytellers, actors, and other performers who can bring the world of role-playing games to life for you and your friends, no matter your experience level. So for everyone. Today we're talking to Kristi Key. She's epic. She's going to tell us all about herself, but I want to go ahead and play this really cool video she's made as a campaign for Masterminds. It is absolutely epic. So check it out, folks.
What does fun mean to you? Well, for me, fun means a lot of different things. Fun is creating worlds and characters. Now that battle is over and the last Red Brand villain has been felled, you start to look around and get your bearings, and you very quickly notice something is very wrong. Fun is reading and rereading Shakespeare. Fun is indulging in high cinema. Coneheads are great. Fun is gracefully becoming one with nature. Fun is playing games with my family. I don't know, I would say to the dragon, there's no need to fight, we come in peace.
One for initiative.
And I would say, finally, that fun is any good time with great people and constantly seeking new definitions of the word fun. Choose your mastermind adventure.
That was epic.
Thank you.
All right, now if I can get us back on screen, how?
There we are. All right.
Places.
Yes, now I'm trying to get my window out of the screen too. That looks better, I think, right?
Oh, you're perfect right now.
Okay, perfect.
That was so cool. Did you do sign up? You jumped into the snow?
Yeah, so actually, part of what I'm doing right now, and I guess I'll give you some of the build-up, but I have a company that I do with my husband, and we go to different spas all over the world, and we check them out, and it's actually, we check out the culture. It's a lot about the culture surrounding the spas and why that spa got to be there and how it's doing and stuff like that, and the people that make it up. So yeah, that hot cold thing is a big part. We're very into that. So a lot of times if we're at spas in the winter and we have access to it, we will definitely jump into snow or a river or a lake or a cold body of something. You do the hot. You got to do the hot cycle first, steam or sauna, get yourself good and hot, jump into the snow, the cold, do it for as long as you can take it, and then let your body sort of relax. It's very good for you.
Yeah, it's good for the skin too. I do it like in the shower as a little, I try to just...
No, that's actually really smart because we don't all have spas and saunas we can be at every day. But there's this amazing study out of Finland that if you people who do that 3 times a week or more, just the hot into the cold, so including like if you can do the shower, that's better. That's better than nothing.
Yeah.
It reduces the chance of stroke by 40%, and that's across all. Even if you're a smoker or you have other conditions, 40% reduce in the chance of stroke.
What?
If you do that hot cold thing 3 times a week or more. So
Okay.
good for you. You're headed in the right direction for health.
Do you need any recruits, any volunteers? Because that sounds like my absolute dream job. I just want to talk all about that.
It's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. And the best part of it is we meet the coolest people in these places we go, and they have awesome stories about how they got there, how they're involved. So you can check us out. I'll give you our website link, and you can go and watch our videos and stuff.
How many places have you been? I'm sorry, I won't ramble on at this. I love this.
No, it's cool. So we've at this point, we've gone to loads of places. We haven't shot full. We have a few full 40-minute episodes, streamable episodes. And we've got 4 of those. 3 of them are out right now. One I'm still editing. And then we have others that we just write, we do sort of mini videos about, or just write quick posts about and stuff like that. So loads. I don't even know what the number is. And counting. But we've got 3 full episodes. We did in Quebec, Canada, where that sort of spa circuit that we were just talking about, where you do the hot and the cold, that's really had a surge in the last 10 to 20 years, where it wasn't a traditional thing there, but it's really gotten to be quite popular. So that's cool. We did an episode featuring the hot springs in Colorado, and mostly about the Utes, which are the native tribe to that area, and how the hot springs and the Utes, what the connection is there, and what it's been historically and what it is now. So that was cool. And then we did an episode in North Carolina about cryotherapy. And do you know what that is?
No, but I'm fascinated. I'm holding not a cryo, but I've got all my rocks here with me, and this one's called the Crystophase. And
that's lovely.
I wanted to show you my rocks, but
it's beautiful. The D&D nerd in me goes, that looks like a dragon egg. A little dragon egg.
No, wait till you see this one. Wait.
There it is. Ah.
That's called Dragonstone, actually. So this is
of course it is. And you just had that handy. I love that.
Yeah. I'm always holding on to my rocks.
I love it.
So tell us about the therapy. I don't know. I heard the beginning of the words were similar, and that was enough for me.
Yeah. So cryotherapy is this cool thing, and it's definitely growing in popularity. Where you can do full body or sort of localized, but it's extreme cold therapy. So for the full body, and what we did in our episode is there's a cryo chamber, and you step into it's like you open it up, and the cold steam is coming at you, and you go in, and it blasts you with extreme cold, like frost on your swimsuit if you're wearing one, kind of extreme cold. And you do it for a few minutes, and it has all these restorative healing benefits to it, which I won't bore you with now. But if you want to, you can watch and we go into it.
I would love to talk about that later, because I can just your brain about this.
It's awesome, and if you look around, it's really starting to pop up all over the place. And I wasn't kind of sure what to make of it. I'm definitely not actually one of those people that's like, if people call it wellness, it must be good for you.
Yeah.
I tend to kind of go in skeptical, and man, you feel amazing when you come out of this thing. And it targets places you have inflammation. So if you have tennis elbow or something, and you go out and you're like, I don't necessarily feel it in my core where I think that kind of cold would penetrate, but man, my elbow, I can feel it in my elbow, and it helps. Burns a lot of calories, so it's cool.
Yeah, and I've noticed, I've only done this a couple of times, and I mean, I've seen people do way more extreme things, like jumping. I've seen people cut holes in ice for a whole day long and then do their little ice baths, and I'm like, I hate the cold, so that's the last thing I want to do, but it does. I've had a few experiences doing similar things, and it makes you feel so alive, like you just have all this energy, and you want to run around and jump.
Well, and there's all these reactions that are happening in you in those situations. I mean, you have to do it correctly and intelligently, and there's ways you can do it where it shocks your system, where it's not good for you, but there are ways you can do it where the shock, and it is putting your system into a kind of shock, but if you do it correctly, it's a healthy shock because it puts your body into I have to create things to keep you alive mode. And actually it creates things that give you that energy that help you heal and restore because your body's trying to save you. so it's good for you anyway.
Okay, so if I continue on that path, I'm just gonna talk to you about wellness forever and ever. Do you want to get into your origin story and just who is Kristi? How did she get here? Interested in all these cool things and life.
So yeah, I'm from New York, just outside of New York City, which is where I lived most of my life, and I, from a very young age, was into theater. I knew I wanted to be an actor, and so that's what I pursued. I did it all throughout school, and then I went to NYU's Tisch School to get my BFA. And while I was there, I also went abroad and studied at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art for a while. I'm a big Shakespeare nerd, as I mentioned in that video that we just watched, and as you'll get in a minute when I tell you about one of my campaigns that I'm offering. But I think Shakespeare is amazing. The more I read Shakespeare, the more awestruck I am by his genius. Yeah, you agree?
I love him. I just watched Shakespeare in Love last night, and I've been like rereading all these like alternative tales of Shakespeare, like the newer. Yeah, I love him.
Shakespeare in Love is great because actually, obviously it's a work of fiction by Tom Stoppard, who is a playwright that I love. He's a great playwright, but there's a lot of really great historically accurate tidbits in there about Elizabethan times and Elizabethan London. So I love that movie. I recommend it highly, both for the story and for getting a sense of what that time was like.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny too. Just
and it's definitely funny.
Yeah, comedy for sure. But I've been watching a lot of like period pieces lately, so I've been falling into a lot of like Shakespearean themes and Shakespearean inspired stories. But no one did it better.
Well, I totally agree, and I was talking about this with my husband the other day, who, bless him, listens to me for the 8 millionth time. But it's not his facility with language is, I think, quite obviously unparalleled. The way he can paint an image is just unbelievable. But I actually think the thing that really made him a genius was his understanding of what we call the human condition, of how people are. I mean, he gets people in a way that the older I get and the more of my life I've lived, I keep having experiences that I thought I understood, that I read about in Shakespeare, but then I have that experience or I live it, and I'm like, God, how did he know that? Like, yes, that's exactly what this minute in my life is like. How did he get that?
Yeah. It's incredible. That painting, that portrait, and being able to explain it to somebody else. I think that there are people who like understand the human spirit and the human condition and like can kind of cognitively, but putting that out there in a way that other people can understand and that visual. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shakespeare nerding. So when I went to London, I studied Shakespeare at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art for a while, which was a phenomenal experience. I still have good friends there to this day. Shout out to Rada. And then I came back, and actually while I was living in London, I discovered a theater company that I fell in love with because they did this amazingly unique kind of theater. And at that time, they were already quite well known in London, but they weren't known at all in the US. It's a company called Punch Drunk. And what they do is they create not just shows, but worlds. So when I was in London, I saw them do a show called Masque of the Red Death, which was based on the stories of Edgar Allan Poe. Not just the Masque of the Red Death, but a number of his stories. And they set it in an old abandoned, in the Battersea Arts Centre in London, or sort of just outside of, and the entire space was transformed into the world of this show. They put their audience in masks and they dump them in the space and they say go. And the show is taking place all throughout. I'd never experienced anything like it before because I was suddenly not just watching a show, but I was in it. I was making choices about where to go and what to do and what to see. And I'd have to make calls of, do I follow this scene? Do I follow that scene? Also, the sets are decorated with a beyond cinematic level of detail. So if you open a drawer, you might find a letter, and if you were to open that letter, the letter would be filled out with something relevant to why it was there. And so it's not even just like in a movie, you see a desk and maybe somebody opens it and maybe someone doesn't. Everything is there for you. So it blew my mind, and I resolved when I was there that I had to work with this amazing company. And then when I returned, I was lucky enough to do that a year or two later. So Punch Drunk came to the U.S. with a show called Sleep No More, which they started up in Boston. And I took a bunch of friends to go see that. And after that, I met the artistic director. And about a year later, I was helping them bring it to New York and move it to New York. And it's been running in New York ever since. That was 2000 and we opened March 2011, I think. So, and yeah, it's not running right now. Obviously, the theaters are all closed down, but it's been running since then. They opened it up in Shanghai as well. So they're doing incredibly well. And it's a super cool production when stuff starts running again. Anybody who can check it out. This Sleep No More is based on loosely on Macbeth. And it's brilliant. So I was very lucky and proud and blessed to be a part of that really amazing production. But so that experience really made me love immersive worlds. I had already loved it because I had played Dungeons and Dragons in high school every Sunday. Our amazing theater teacher would gather those of us interested in our green room at our high school theater space, and we'd sit around and eat donuts and Doritos and play Dungeons and Dragons.
It'd be better than that.
It can't be better than that. It was great. As an adult, you can add a beer, but other than that, that's pretty much, yeah.
Freedom. It's all about the freedom.
It's all about the freedom. But so, yeah, so my sort of passion for immersive worlds, improv, role play, that sort of choose your own adventure, as it were, has just been in me my whole life. So then I started a theater company back in 2012 with the thought in mind of creating immersive worlds for the world of Shakespeare. So my theater company that I started did a few shows where it was, similar to what Punch Drunk I should have mentioned also. It's there's almost no text in their shows. It's a lot of very highly stylized, amazing dance. There's a little bit of text, but not a lot. It's in 80% darkness, so it's got a very spooky, eerie, cool feel to it. I wanted to take my company and basically do Shakespeare, but in immersive worlds. So, if you were doing Romeo and Juliet, you could follow Romeo, you could follow Juliet, or you could be with the apothecary the entire time, and see what he was all about and actually get to know him and flesh out the story that way. So that's what I've been doing on and off since 2012. A while back, my high school theater friends, my high school Dungeons and Dragons crew, decided, hey, we're spread out, but we have all these online tools now. Let's start playing Dungeons and Dragons again. Yeah. So we did. I'm playing with my original high school crew again. Just like Rob said, I noticed in your video with Rob, he said he started playing with his high school crew again. It's awesome. Me too.
Yeah, so that warmed my heart so much. That's my favorite thing about
yeah.
I don't even know if it's games or just like these systems that connect us in general, but I've been very fortunate to have like a strong connection with people I've known since childhood. And I feel like those little opportunities to connect with people, like, you can't ever get something back like that. And it's just so beautiful, technology with all its drawbacks, we definitely find ways to connect with each other and have opportunities we never did before.
Well, and it's amazing. It's absolutely, because some of these are people that I had such deep love for in high school, and we were so close, and we did these shows together, and we played D&D together, and we loved each other, and there was no reason for us to lose touch. We just, time and
life happens.
Life happens.
Yeah.
But now to be reconnected with them, and they're all such fantastic people that, and you immediately go, why did I ever let these people out of my lives? They're awesome.
Yeah. And it's so little, like, no matter where you go, I feel like, or how you grow, you kind of always have that in common. Like everybody wants to play, everybody wants to relax. It's an area you can
Absolutely.
get
Absolutely. That's absolutely it. And I have other games that I play with other people, so uh, you know, I still have loads of and I think I went through some part of my life. I took my theater very seriously. I was very serious about doing all these things, and I went through a part of my life where I wasn't playing because I thought I had to focus on my career, and Dungeons and Dragons is a game and it takes a lot of time. Uh, and I grew up a little bit more and went, that's stupid. This is fun, and you need fun in
Yeah.
your life, and it's has all these other benefits to it too. You need connection. You need to be social with people you like, doing something you enjoy. So who cares that it's considered nerdy? I don't. I love it. It's fun, and by God, I'm doing it because you only live once. I'm having fun while I do. So
Truth. Oh, so
right?
much truth there. I feel the
Yeah.
same way. Same way. It's like there's so many things you get caught up with trying to be professional about them. I do this
Mm-hmm.
all the time with like just
Yep.
different teaching jobs, and I like you kind of limit to yourself to what you're allowed to do, and you get more strict with yourself. And at the end of the day, it's like, what do you want to get across to, like in my case, your students? I want to get across to people that you should just have fun. You live one life and
Absolutely.
enjoy that. So we have to embody that ourselves, and that's the trick, right?
Absolutely.
Aw, that's
And
so
I'm lucky because D&D is, it is that thing that is my passion, which is, my passion is, I think maybe when I was younger, I simplified it into saying it's acting or it's theater, but I think my passion is immersive worlds and creating that in potentially different capacities. And I get to do that in D&D, and I get to do that with my theater company, and I get to do that with certain other things that I do. So it's great. I love it. Whenever I
I
can
love
do that,
that.
I'm happy.
And I like that you can kind of merge different areas of your life into following that same passion. I think that really is the trick, like
Yep,
taking it with you everywhere.
exactly.
Oh, so cool, Kristi. That was so interesting. I'm like, so now I just want to hang out with you. I'm like, can I come over? Can we just chat?
We should hang out.
Definitely. I mean, I'll stay outside and I'll just throw pebbles at your window, and we can just like play video games from
I got a porch. We're
6
good.
feet that way. Oh, good. Is it 6 feet? Can we I can
Oh,
just
yeah.
perfect. I was trying to bring some Shakespeare into that. Okay, so how would you describe your mission here at Masterminds, or to Masterminds? What your goal is with this, with us in particular?
So I think that ties sort of directly into what we were just talking about, which is um, I love creating these immersive worlds, and I think they release something in people. I think it's why Punch Drunk is such a successful theater company and why Sleep No More has done so well, because people go in and something in them is released where they get to just explore and play and improvise and find things that they didn't even know are in them. And that's the cool thing about immersive worlds. So I love sharing that with I love being a part of it. I love sharing it with folks. And I think that's, as a GM, that's definitely what my thing is as a GM, is I'm going to create a world and throw you in it, but it's really going to be about how you interact with that world. And I'm going to build it up around you, and if you go off and do something unexpected, I'm not going to try to rein you back into what I expected or wanted, because that's keeping on the narrative. I'm going to let you go and explore that and do that, and it may go in a completely different direction, but that's okay, because that's the direction you found compelling, and so that's the direction we're going.
Mm.
And I also think, just like we were also talking about, it's about connection, playing D&D in so many ways, connection with others, and the fact that we now have all these amazing online tools and resources, that you can really play incredibly well. I remember one of my groups that I still play with, we used to always meet up, and we'd meet in person, and of course that's the best, when you can sit around and be together. There's nothing that beats that. But then a couple of us had to move, and so we were still back in town a lot. We'd try to plan the meetups for when we were all there, and when it didn't happen, I'd have my phone on speaker, and I'd be looking at the computer, because we just use like the most basic I'd be FaceTiming, and someone would be holding their phone trying to show the map that was on the table, and then the sound quality it was such a struggle. And I was like, oh man, now this technology that we have for this gaming is incredible. It's better than, the old school maps that we used to use, but suddenly I've got the map in front of me, but I can only see what my character sees until I come around the corner, and then I can see it, but nobody else. It's unbelievable what you can do and how you can really it's great. So I want to help folks that have never had this experience but have been interested in it. I want to help them let go of the idea that it's nerdy and they shouldn't try it and just jump in. I want to folks that have done this loads but haven't quite given into the online experience of it. Maybe people who have been like, well, the point of D&D is to hang out, and if you can't hang out, what's the point? I want to be like, no, this is amazing. You feel like you're hanging out. It's incredible. You're still connecting with people. It might not be quite the same as you're all sitting around a table rolling die, but it's pretty unbelievable, and in some ways even better. And it can be a great experience. And I think if folks want to join in a group and do it with their buddies, that's awesome. Or if folks are just like, I'd like to jump into a game and connect with other people who are interested in going for a ride with me, I think it's a really fun thing to do too. So that I'm going to be the DM that lets you improv, lets you go crazy, lets you go down whichever path or avenue you want to go down. I'm gonna help you find that improviser in you.
I love that. And I think that is the biggest struggle that people have, like getting into gaming or just getting into something new in general, is like that fear. It's always them holding themselves back, So to have someone who's going to give you that freedom, like you're going to open them up and give them the options to kind of follow their own adventure.
Yeah.
Opens the door.
And I think improv was a huge part of my training. It was definitely something that I loved, something that I've always been big into. Again, I think that ties into my passion for immersive worlds. Inevitably, improv comes with a passion for immersive worlds, because you can't have an immersive world where every single thing is planned out. Part of it is that people have freedom, and that leads to different possibilities. But so I pat myself on the back. I'm a decent improviser, I'll say. Thank you. But I think that's a helpful quality, because a DM that is going to sort of throw out a scenario and then sit there silently and wait for you to come up with it, I think is kind of scary and intimidating for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But I have no problem pulling out NPCs, playing them, pulling other characters in, helping them guide you along, trying to ease that out for you so that it should be fun. It should be a fun experience. The first time playing is always a little nerve-wracking, I think, for anybody. Even if you're a trained actor and experienced improviser, it's just something new, and the first time's always a little intimidating. But I think that once you're in it, if you're with a good crew of people, just the best.
Yeah, it's like doing a live video. You practice it, and then you do it again, and then eventually it's normal. But you're gonna be like,
yeah,
what is this?
Exactly.
So interesting. I really like the I'm not finding the right words, but basically your highlight on just the openness to creating your own world, choosing your own adventure, and how much you can do with that, and how many places you can take it. And I loved what you said about just guiding, like being there to guide somebody, but you're there to like create their world. Not like be like, well, you're messing up my story here, so I'm gonna retrack you this way and get you back on.
Exactly. I used to say to people when they'd come to see Sleep No More, because you can go wherever you want and film, people would say, oh, there's way more stuff here to see than I can possibly see in the 3 hours that I'm here. And I'd say, what's the right thing? What do I do? What's the correct way to go about this show? And I would say the only correct way to go about this is to follow what you find interesting. Don't try to follow what you think you're supposed to follow. Don't follow what somebody else is following. If you pursue what you find compelling, you're going to have an amazing time. And I think I apply that same perspective to playing D&D, which is follow what you find interesting. And I know there are certainly DMs out there, players out there for whom it's kind of a combat to combat to combat thing, which I get that. Combat's
Yeah,
fun. It's always fun. It's always fun to fight and kill monsters. Um, and I like that too. And there's going to be plenty of that in my games. But I have no problem going sessions and sessions without that. If that's what my team is doing. If my team is more interested in getting to the bottom of why the butcher in town has been depressed and the voices they've been hearing, and that's what's going on, cool, that's what we're going to stick with and that's what we're going to follow. Again, I think if you're doing what you find interesting, there's really kind of no way to get it wrong because you're having fun.
I agree. I do like a good backstory though, so
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
Well, and that's I don't know if it ever made it onto anything, or maybe it's on my page, but I did a character creation session with a crew of people that I'm about to do a one shot with, and they're all beginners. And one of the things I said is I always recommend to people who are, I mean, I recommend it to everybody, but I particularly recommend it to beginners. Flesh out your backstory as much as you possibly can. I mean, like, write 2 pages about who this person is and where they're from and what happened to their parents and do they have siblings and what led them to this moment and what do they do for money, because once you've got all that in place, the improv actually is just a flash because it's already there for you. So if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, what are you doing here? You know the very detailed answer. Now, you don't have to give that answer. Your character might not be the kind of person that does, but you as the player know exactly what your character is doing there. So how you answer it becomes that much easier. If you know that you grew up with a pet dog named Spot, then that was beloved and died in a horrible accident, then when you're walking through town and a dog starts trying to get you to follow it, that you might be that much more likely to, it's the more you've built out your backstory, actually, the easier role playing is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's part of the fun of it is like being able to create a story and getting into your inner, like the more you write, I write. So when you were saying like 2 pages, I was like, I could never just do 2 pages.
Me too.
It's like once you start, you think it's going to be this, like, I think we have this association with things that are fun, like writing, reading, because of maybe schooling, maybe some like childhood experiences where we're like, our body resists it. And then once you kind of free yourself and let you like get into it, it's like, oh, and then this happened and this happened. And it's so healing because almost always I've noticed people take what they take from their own experiences or things they never got to experience. And both of those things are healing, right? You get to play them out. Like your imagination, I really believe, is just like so much more of a powerful tool than we even know yet,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
I dig the backstory. I dig write it out. Just get into
Me too. Yep.
Do you want to talk about any, I know we've talked about a few, but just opening up to like all your open campaigns, what different things are available, just go for all of it.
Yeah, so the one that I'm, not surprisingly, very excited about right now, my sort of ongoing campaign, Storms of Fortune, which is set in basically the world of the characters and plays of Shakespeare. Now, I know that there are some people for whom that's an awesome sounding idea. I'm so glad that you're one of those people. There are other people, I think there are still loads of people who are like, Shakespeare. And they have that experience of it, that, they were made to read this or that in high school and it was miserable and they hated it and they don't understand it. And it's up on a, first of all, no one's going to be expected to speak in verse or iambic pentameter, so that's I might a little bit, but basically the way I see it is the worlds of Shakespeare are a brilliant place for a fantasy D&D setting. You've got kings, you've got monsters, you've got shipwrecks, you've got peril, you've got betrayal. So there's all of the pieces lined up for a perfect D&D campaign. So whether you are someone who loves Shakespeare, knows the plays, or someone who kind of, I would, maybe even if you're someone who had a negative experience with Shakespeare, maybe this is the perfect campaign for you, because there's no way you're going to have a negative experience of this, because it's going to be way too much fun. But there's going to be some totally unique stuff that is unrecognizable from Shakespeare, except that you're in sort of the worlds and surrounded by some of the characters you may know, but you may encounter you know, I won't go into too much, but you may encounter Macbeth before he's done the things that make him king, and before he's done that, you don't know where on his journey you might meet him. You might meet Juliet when she's even younger of a kid than she is, and not even close to that part of her story yet. You might meet characters that you hear about but never see, and they may be in different places in their journeys where you meet them and encounter them. And there's, like any other good D&D campaign, there's a quest that you'll have, and you'll find yourself on. So I think it's going to be very, very cool, because there's a lot of juicy, good material there.
Yeah, that's so fun.
And then I also have a fun sort of one-shot campaign. It's my sort of nostalgic campaign, which is set in, oops, hang on one sec, sorry about that. Which is set in the 7 years after The Princess Bride. It's set in that world, and what happens 7 years later. And you and your crew are members of the Brute Squad, hired to I won't go into too much detail, but you're hired to guard a special event to try to save the kingdom of Florin, which has found itself in sort of peril since the events of The Princess Bride. And that's it. The Dread Pirate Roberts is out there somewhere lurking, threatening the land. There's always a threat of an invasion from the neighboring kingdom of Gilder, and that's where you begin.
What a class! What a class!
It's a fun little.
Oops, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, if you're looking for a good throwback, something nostalgic, fun, quick shot, that's a fun one too.
I would love that. That's the Inconceivable Adventure, right?
That's the Inconceivable Adventure. Exactly.
Inconceivable.
Exactly. So those are the two that I've got listed, but I'm also, I'm very open to stuff folks want to do too. So if someone wanted to approach me and say, "Hey, we think you'd be an interesting GM, but we've always wanted to do this campaign or that quest or anything," I'm open to that. So I like exploring new stuff and finding new worlds as much as anybody. So those are the two that I've got sort of listed now, but there's going to be more and others, and yeah.
That's so wonderful. And I like your style. I just like it. I like the whole
Thanks.
everything, all the new worlds, and the Shakespeare. I think it's worth saying there's a lot of people who do love Shakespeare and don't even know they love Shakespeare because of the amount of superhero movies that are 100% based on Shakespeare. I mean, I'm the biggest Star Wars nerd, so I feel bad. I always bring it back to Star Wars, even though there's several other things that have my heart, but Star Wars ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's fair.
Skywalker's Hero with a Thousand Faces. There's just so much of every Star Wars movie by Lucas.
When I was in college, I was at a bar one night, and there was a guy. My friend ended up in a conversation with some guy, and he asked us what we were doing. We told him we were studying Shakespeare, and he told us that Shakespeare was dead. And in the process of telling us Shakespeare was dead, I swear this on my life, he quoted Shakespeare 3 times in the process of telling us, of explaining to us why, if he had obviously no idea he was doing it, but in the process of telling us how Shakespeare was a waste and was dead, he quoted him 3 times. 3 times.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, people don't know how much is influenced that in mythology. I'm always everybody loves mythology. Everyone loves Shakespeare. You just might not know. Fun fact. I know that there's no way to prove this is a fact, but I don't care. I'm gonna roll with it and rock with it because it's one of my favorites. I have Shakespeare's birthday and his personality type.
Well, if your birthday is April 23rd, that is definitely his very likely birthday. So you got that. And his personality type, I'll give you that.
Well, you know how you do, it's only on Myers-Briggs, which is my favorite one to do because it's so accurate. But you know how to show you your people down below?
And Shakespeare was, what was it?
I'm an INFP, so that's what INFP. Big. So I always that's one of my favorite facts about myself. Even though we don't even know Shakespeare was one person or whatever, I'm gonna go with it because I like it. I think he was too.
I mean, by and large, actually, collaboration was a much bigger thing. I mean, it was like a thing then. Most people collaborated. So, there are certain plays that are attributed to him where you can be like, oh, yep, that's where John Fletcher stepped in, or things like that. But yeah, by and large, I'm on that page.
I am too, and it fits into my narrative, so I'm gonna go with it there.
I support you 100%.
Thank you. That's what we need. That's all we need is more support. Do you want to add anything, Kristi? Is there anything you didn't get to talk about that you want to?
No, I'm very happy and excited to be part of this team because I really believe that the mission statement is one that resonates with me. Um, I think Dungeons and Dragons, as much as we joke about it being a nerdy thing or this or that, I really think it's an amazing thing. It's fun and it brings people together. And if that's not just the best, I don't really know what is.
It's the best. And you know what? I don't care what you call it, nerdy, whatever. Who's having fun? We are. So
Absolutely. And it's, I think it's great for a time like now where people are feeling kind of socially isolated and stuff like that and having trouble having the same kinds of interactions that we used to be able to have. Mm-hmm. Here's this amazing thing that has already got this online resource that's terrific and getting better every day, where you can have those social interactions as if we're not living in a crazy time. And it's great. I mean, my 11-year-old, I encouraged to get into it just because I thought this is going to be a really good social tool for him. Not just that he's not able to see his friends, but just having to learn give and take, and now's the time for my voice, and now's the time to listen to somebody else's voice, and here's the time to be in the spotlight, here's the time to step back, here's a time to think outside of the box because the most direct solution isn't necessarily the best solution. I think that's terrific for kids. It's terrific for all of us. We all need to be reminded to stretch our brains. We get into a rut of our thinking and our habits and all that. That's natural, that's life. But then to have something where at the end of the day you can it's like an exercise for your brain that is great for everybody. So I think it's just the best. And as a result, I'm very happy to have found Mastermind Adventures and to be part of that team.
Hey, I'm happy you found it too, because now we get to connect and be there next year, and I love it. And I think you are so fascinating and have so much to offer. And
thank you.
Staying with you. So, everybody, where can we find you, Kristi? Where can people connect with you? How can everyone get in touch?
Well, so the best way is if you're interested in playing a game, certainly go to the Mastermind Adventures website. You can look at the different GMs for hire. I'm one. I also have to say, check out the other videos that you're doing, because the other GMs for hire are also brilliant. And I've kind of just described what my game style is. And if that works for you, that's awesome. If you're looking for different game styles, then you should definitely check out the videos of the other folks, because they're all great, but we've each kind of got our unique thing. And finding the one of us that resonates with you and their styles seems to fit best with you, you should definitely do that. You should be playing with the people that are your people and your style. So yeah, if you go to the Mastermind Adventures website, check out GMs for Hire. You can find me there. You can find me on Facebook if you want to chat. You can find me in all those areas. If you want to check out the spa stuff, you can go to our website, which is gospagoblin.com, if you want to watch those spa videos we checked out just for some fun. But yeah, the main thing is go to Mastermind Adventures website and find me on the GMs for Hire.
Awesome. That was so wonderful, Kristi. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
And how awesome you are and all of it. And then I'm just going to say thank you to everyone for watching. So for more information about Kristi, as you know, go to mastermindadventures.com. Join every Tuesday and Thursday for a social spotlight and to catch up with these epic GMs and meet all of our great people. We have an awesome team. Everyone's so lovely and so fun. So I appreciate it. Bye, everybody. Bye, Kristi.